that Heather has taken the time just to be on our call tonight. I know that we haven't had a ton of guest speakers on here, but mostly because I'm very selective about who we ask to come and speak. But I'm excited. Heather has been so successful in the business. And one of the reasons that I wanted to ask Heather to be on our call tonight is that she really does this business God's way, and she gives him all the glory, which is obviously what our team is all about. And she does it in a way that is just so encouraging and inspiring. And so, obviously we want to have women on these calls who align with our mission as well. And so just seeing her live that out in an authentic and real way is really, really cool. And so I'm excited for you guys to hear from her tonight, because I know that that's at the core of all that she does, is truly giving God the glory and, working with that holy hustle that we all talk about. She really lives that out. And so Heather, I'm just going to do a quick introduction of Heather really quick. And then she's going to kind of dive into her story. And then we'll do some kind of Q&A at the end, if that's cool with you, Heather, just any questions that anyone has. So just so you guys know a little bit about Heather, she is a 7-star elite coach. And so she's been coaching for 17 months. But if you've heard her on the National Wake Up Call last year, or maybe at Summit, or earlier this year, or at Summit, she actually hit elite and finished the year elite, only being a coach for 10 months last year. So it's really incredible. She is a Success Club 10 All-Star, and her team is currently ranked in the top 50 elite coaches this year. She's a Christian, a wife, a professor at the University of Alabama, and she's also a mom. So excited for you guys to hear from her today. And Heather, I will let you take it away.
Well, thank you so much. And I just have to say that, Caroline, you are somebody that I have looked up to since I found you after I started, unfortunately, but just somebody that I look up to so much in this business. And I feel like what we do is truly a ministry. And so the way that you just introed, all the stuff that you said at the beginning means so much more to me than any rank or accolade or anything like that. That means a ton to me. So I'm going to share, in true teacher fashion, I have a slideshow thing. So I'm going to share my story. And I always, two things I want to get across is that all the glory goes to God for the journey. Last year was really a miracle, and I'm going to talk a little bit about year 2 has been a lot more difficult, and it's been really trying because this business is pretty hard. And so I'm going to talk about the journey, but all the glory to God. And number 2 is just when people hear the accolades like 7-star diamond and going elite in 10 months, that all sounds fine and well, but there's a ton that was not a linear growth pattern in any way, shape, or form. So there was a lot of valley in there and a very steep mountain that was climbed. So let's see if I can share my screen really quick. I haven't figured out how to do Canva full screen without not being able to see your faces. So I want to see you guys. So here it is. I titled my story From Broken and Hopeless to Finding the Light. So kind of my theme, my story for his glory. So I grew up, I'm going to take you guys a little bit kind of far back, but it makes sense, I promise. So I grew up, I danced ballet growing up. And honestly, I just didn't have a huge example of long-term, just healthy lifestyle in my life. The females in my life and around me in my life, it was always quick fixes, fad diets, but not an example of long-term health. Also being in ballet, I danced for the Atlanta Ballet growing up. And so I remember even being in the bathroom when I was and that's my daughter, she's 7 now. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but she's following in my ballet footsteps. But I remember being in the bathroom when I was at the ballet studio and watching, I called them the big girls, right? So the older girls, and they would stand in front of the mirror and they would pinch this and talk about this body part, and you could hear them getting rid of their lunches. And I just remember, to me, I thought they were perfect and ethereal, and I looked up to these girls and the women in my life that I looked up to, and just had a very distorted view of like just health and body that was all around me. And I think society can do that to us at times too. I quit dancing and was kind of burnout and did what any rational person would do and started cheerleading. And so I cheered in college, and actually, when I went to college, I feel like it was all but encouraged. I remember I had male coaches and we would get weighed. So when we tried out, we were weighed at tryouts. And then as you made the squad for the years going on, you would get weighed probably at least once a month. And if you weighed a pound over your tryout weight, you would have to run until you weighed that again. Like you couldn't practice with the team. You had to go run to get back to weight. And so things like that. So like exercise was always a punishment for me. And I just never had a great relationship with food or anything. And I would love to, it was really by the grace of God that my mom, sorority sisters, and coach intervened in the same day. And they didn't even know they were all staging the intervention the same day. I think it was just God's hand, by the grace of God. They all were like, hey, you have a problem. You need to get a hold of this. And I realized it was. So I didn't have the eating disorder behaviors anymore, but the mindset and mentality, I would say, was still there. I didn't learn that healthy relationship for a long, long time. In high school, I want to say my junior year, I found a bottle of diet pills in my mom's medicine cabinet and took those literally for 15 years until I was 30 years old. So I was following in the footsteps of what I had been immersed around. And so when my daughter, this picture is really meaningful because when she was about 5 or 6, I just realized that she's watching my every move. And this could be either a generational curse that continues on from people before me to her, or I could stop this now where it was. And so that was kind of where I was with that. So I call it from pain to purpose. Life went according to plan until it didn't. I got married. We had Brinley as my daughter's name. And it was just like life was good. And then fall of 2015, we got pregnant with our second child. And we're really excited and all of that. And just ignorance is bliss, I guess. And we went to the doctor for the ultrasound and we're told that the pregnancy was not viable, that we were going to experience miscarriage. And so the statistic says that 1 in 4 women experience pregnancy loss. And come to find out, my 3 best friends from high school were pregnant and we were due within a week of each other. We didn't plan it. But I was the 1 in 4. They all went to have healthy, all baby girls. And my body held on to that. So my doctor said, it should happen within 24 hours. My body held on to it for weeks. And I experienced miscarriage for the first time on October 15th, which is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. So I just knew that there was such a higher power in my experience and my story, and that one day I was going to use that pain for purpose. And back then, that was a couple of years ago, I don't feel like miscarriage and loss was something that was as talked about as it is now. So I would like to say, I was in that valley for a long time. I treated my body awful. I felt like my body had betrayed me, so I was going to betray it. I'm a very all or nothing personality. So it's either cheeseburgers and milkshakes or salads and water, and there was no in between. And so I had like years of the cheeseburgers and milkshakes. And so I had just kind of given up on my body, on myself, and all of that. But then it was fall of 2017, I had just hit rock bottom. And I realized, here I am sitting in my life and I'm focusing on all of the things that I can't control. My parents had separated after over 30 years. My life felt out of control. On paper, I should have been happy, but inside I wasn't. And I was scrolling social media and looking at pregnancy announcements and people's houses and cars. And I was just living this life of wallowing in the things that I didn't have and that I felt like I couldn't control. But then here I was not controlling and not being a good steward of any of the things that I could control. My faith, my health, my marriage, my relationships, motherhood, all of that. And so I just made the decision that I needed to focus on the things I could control and take all of this pain and turn it into purpose. So again, fall of 2017, I decided to start writing a book. I felt very alone in the miscarriage journey and felt like the one thing that brought me a lot of comfort was hearing other people's testimonies of faith and hope in the midst of loss. So I just asked people all around me that I knew had experienced this, and then they would tell me of people. So it ended up being a book of about 25 couples that shared their story of pregnancy and infant loss. And at the very end of the book, as it was going to publish, I found out that we were pregnant again. And we went to the first appointment and almost immediately found out that pregnancy was not viable. So here I was editing this book that was supposed to go to publish. Oh no. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're good now.
Okay. My internet connection has been so weird lately. So I was like,
oh, you're good. No worries.
Okay. So I was experiencing miscarriage in the midst of writing that book from a fresh perspective. In the meantime, my daughter's kindergarten teacher actually posted on Facebook this girl's story, and it was Emily Faber. So if you guys know Emily, this right here was her ultrasound picture, and it was her story. And ironically, here my book was called Brokenhearted Hope, and the theme of her post was it was a hashtag hope after heartbreak. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, look, I'm putting the final chapters on this book. I feel like your story would be great. She said if you felt like it could be shared or touch somebody to share it, it was a book. So I felt like I needed permission. So I reached out to her, and I never dreamed that I would hear back. And I heard back almost immediately. So Emily ended up being chapter, I believe, 10 in the book. And it was like celebrate life, no matter how short or small. And then I wrote the final chapter of the book called Even If. So even if I never got pregnant, even if my prayers were never answered, God is still good. And I love that I feel like not every team I can speak so openly about all of this. So I love that I feel like I can with your team. And so that was kind of my story with then. And I watched Emily show up. So I started following her on social media. And this picture is meaningful to me because I remember when I saw it, I was like, if she can do this, I can too. So every Sunday she would post these side-by-side Sunday pictures. And I remember she had experienced 4 losses. And I just remember seeing her before pictures and her after picture every week. And I could see my body in her. I mean, the miscarriage and betraying your body and not taking care of yourself does a number. And so I was like, I look like the before, I want to look like her after. But it wasn't necessarily her body and the physical changes. There was this light that was coming back inside of her eyes and this confidence. And I was like, I need the light back in my eyes. And so I reached out to her and I said, tell me about this. She was in the test group for 80-Day Obsession. And in this picture, she was at Disney. And the resort that they were staying in didn't have weights. And so her husband went and got 2 equal weight rocks. And she was showing up, and she showed up at Disney and stayed on meal plan and all of that. And I just remember that picture. And my thought was, if she can do that at Disney, I can do this in little old Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So showing up when it's inconvenient is really important for other people to see. And so I reached out to her. I said, tell me about this 80-day thing. But I said, don't ask me to coach because I've done it before. I have, you guys, and I'm a sucker for a discount. So I've done all of the things. I've done the skincare. I've done the other energy and sports. Like I've done all the things, and I've done Beachbody for a hot minute too. And so I was like, don't even ask me to coach. I've done all that. Like I'm busy. I'm a professor. Like I have a job. Not my thing. Don't ask me to do that. And she never did. She never had to. But I knew that I wanted the program. I wanted to do 80-day with her. So, also, this is important to note. I ghosted her for 4 months. So when I said, okay, I'm in, but don't ask me to coach, I disappeared. And I continued to disappear. Come to find out, I kept disappearing because word on the street is you couldn't do 80-Day Obsession if you were pregnant. Well, I got pregnant again and again and again. And so total, I had 4 losses. I had 3 losses within 4 months of each other. And so I was just like, medically, doctors could not explain why I was continuing to I would get pregnant every time, but my body just couldn't hold on to it past 6 to 8 weeks. They took like 14 tubes of blood at a time every time I went to the doctor, but medically they just could not explain what was going on. And so I just felt like it was clear direction from God that it was like, you need to take care of you and your health, and there is great purpose in this. And so I was like, fine, right? So I think sometimes our prayers aren't answered the way we want them to be, but God sure does answer them. So I had my 4th miscarriage on January 11th of 2018. And I remember reaching out to Emily and I said, if this one doesn't stick, I guess is what we say, I'm all in. And so that one was not viable. And on January 15th of 2018, I started 80-Day Obsession, and I went all in, just like she had. My daughter and I hadn't signed up to coach yet. So I was just like, I need the accountability for me. Emily knew what she was doing. I didn't know what she was doing, but she had us post our fridge as challengers on the first day. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be doing this, I want to be accountable on my social media. So me and my daughter actually would post day 1, day 2, and we did all the things they tell you not to do as a Beachbody coach. But I wasn't a coach at that point, but I shared every day. We ran out of fingers on day 10, so we got a little felt board that's like become famous at this point. She writes me messages on it now. But we got a little felt board, and every day of 80-Day, we showed up, and people were like waiting on me and Brinley to show up together. So I just started showing up and sharing my journey. Probably about, and I was really annoying. So Emily had told me all the things about the challenge pack, but I have to do things my own way and learn the hard way. So I went, and instead of going through her, I went and got the free trial of BOD. I did the quarterly BOD membership and got sliders and bands off of Amazon. I was a nightmare, you guys. So this is hope to the people that go and do that. Like, maybe you're going to find your next elite coach. I don't know. But she never gave up on me. She was patient with me. She was just my friend through all of this. I just felt like she related to me and was just really super patient. So when my 3 months of BOD was about to renew again, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do a challenge pack and I'll sign up to coach. And she's like, wait, what? And so I signed up to coach because I wanted the discount, and I was going to coach just enough to cover the cost of my shakes, because my accountant husband, I didn't want this to cost us any money, because I've spent so many years of gym memberships that I paid for and didn't use. So that was my goal, was to cover the cost of my shakes. So I started showing up. So here's my journey as a coach. 80-Day Obsession. So I went all in with 80-Day. Yes, I followed the nutrition plan to a T. I mean, like, I had the burger for refeed day, but that's it. I mean, I followed that program to a T. I lost 24 pounds and went from a size 12 to a size 6. Then I did lift 4. I lost another 10 pounds and went down to a size 4. And then I got into the Transform 20 test group, lost another 5 pounds, found abs that I had never had even when I cheered, and got in the best shape probably of my life. I did the Ultimate Portion Fix test group, and then most recently was in the Morning Meltdown 100 test group. But I show all of this saying I do follow now since I've been pregnant, Caroline, I don't know if you can relate, but I'm like trying to be healthy and live with balance. But when the baby like craves carbs, I can't deny. So anyways, but my journey for that full year, my first year as a coach, I showed up and I did follow the meal plan. And I think you have to have both. And I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to lay it all out there, exactly my power hour and exactly what I did. But you have to have both. I have people that Emily says, if you kind of sort of try, you're going to kind of sort of get results. And I think if you kind of halfway do the nutrition and you halfway get results, or you show up sometimes and when it's convenient and in the right seasons, and then you go away or don't fully follow it all the time, people aren't going to trust you as a coach, and you're not going to have that consistency in those results. So this to me is first and foremost, is I showed up day in and day out. And the day that I became a coach, so February 20th of 2018, I have not shown up on social media a single day, Monday through Sunday. I mean, every single day I have shown up and people have seen me on social media. So there's that. So this is my fitness journey. And I just say, be your best challenger. Like, what would you tell your challenger? You have to be your best challenger, because if you're not showing up, your people aren't going to show up either. Normally right here, I show a video. I don't know, Caroline, you were at New Leader last year, but it's the video of the girl, the track girl. And she was an NCAA track athlete. She's running around the track, and she was in first place, and she falls down, but she gets back up. And I don't know if it was adrenaline or her training or both, but she gets back up and starts running. And as she starts to take that last lap, they're like, no way. And she ends up winning the race. And so I just bawled my eyes out when we watched that at New Leader, because that was my journey as a coach. People saw this and people saw the results and the end result, but they didn't see what happened in between. So I'm about to show you guys how easy is an illusion. So here I signed up November 2018 with a 14-day free trial. As I shared, it was October, December, and January I experienced loss, but I was like dabbling with bod. My quarterly bod was up, and I joined as a coach February 20th of 2018. And I remember Ashley and Emily told me that if you're going to be a successful coach, you're going to hit Success Club. That Success Club is the measure of growing and moving your business forward. Success Club also, remember, I said I had an accountant husband. So for me, Success Club 6 is my break-even point. So if I'm hitting Success Club 6, that means I'm covering the cost of my business service fee and my 90 PVHD. And so Success Club 6 was my bare minimum. That was just my break-even point. So they said, you want to hit Success Club every month. I'm still mad at myself that I hit Success Club 8 my first month, because I've hit Success Club 10 ever since that. But notice I signed up February 20th. I feel like a lot of people would be like, oh, February 20th, there's only 8 days left in the month. I'll just, do the training and start coaching the next month. And I hit the ground running. I hit Success Club within those first 8 days. And my team name is called Faith Over Fear. And I actually I'm reading or listening to Build to Last by Keith Callahan right now. And it was talking about fear as an acronym. And what was it? False events appearing real. And so my team name is Faith Over Fear, because I look at this as a gift. To me, this was a gift to me, and this has changed my life. God changed my life. I feel like this has been a vehicle that has done that. But to me, this is such a gift that it would be selfish to me to hold this back from other women. And so I unapologetically and fearlessly hit the ground running, because I felt like this was such a gift that women needed to hear. So in March, I hit Diamond in 26 days, Success Club, and all my Success Club numbers for that first year there, Success Club 48. In April, I hit 2-star Diamond in 56 days, and I became a team leader and hit Success Club 72. In June, I went to Summit, and honestly, I had a friend that ran with me, and I didn't know, that was just the pace Ashley and Emily were going. I just matched it. And so I didn't know that Diamond in 56 days, what that meant or what it was. I do now, because I haven't produced any. I think my first Star Diamond is going Star Diamond this Thursday, and I've been coaching for almost 2 years now. But I go to Summit, and Summit was really my wake-up call. If you guys haven't been to a Summit yet, get to Summit. It is life-changing. And I remember people telling me that, and I was like, yeah, right. That is so cliche. You are just saying that. And that first year, and I think the life-changing part about it was all these women that I had followed on social media, I get there and started meeting them and realized, like, no offense, but they are regular, normal people. There is nothing that these coaches that we all put up on pedestals have that that the rest of us don't have. In fact, I feel like, and I can say this to you guys, I feel like we have an advantage that a lot of people don't, because we've got the faith and that kind of thing. So I go to Summit, and it was very, very eye-opening to me, because I was like, there's no reason this can't be me too. So I left Summit. And so that was June, July. In August, July, I go on family vacation. And my one coach that was working with me, so I built my husband, and then she ran at the same time to get to that 2-star. And she called me and she was like, hey, we're moving to another state. I'm not going to coach anymore. Not the right time in my life. I'll be a challenger, but I'm completely backing away from coaching. And I was like, oh, okay. But instead of letting it completely defeat me, I got on my knees and started praying. This is our local coffee shop. And y'all, it's so crazy because I went back there last week and God is doing some crazy things and answering prayers this week. So I put on, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I put on my prayer request, a baby for Emily and Dylan. And so there's that. And then 5-star elite for my team. And that felt pretty stupid putting that on a prayer card to God because I was like, he could probably care less about my team and what star diamond rank we are. Well, come to find out, Emily was pregnant when I wrote that on that card and I had no idea. And it was all but a miracle that my team went 5-star elite in that first year. So in August, I was completely starting over. I mentioned too, we reached, I want to say Premier. I got a call from compliance, and I'm not going to go into detail about that, but we lost everything. I had to completely start over. So that 2-star diamond, it was pulled away. I was back to being a diamond coach and had to completely start over. August was also the month that you had to earn to be in the Transform 20 test group. And so I was like, I want to be in that test group so bad. And I had hit the Success Club numbers the other months. And on August 10th of 2018, I was at Success Club 0. And again, Ashley and Emily always say, you want to hit Success Club 5 by the 5th and 10 by the 10th. And I'm like, okay, so that's what I go by. I don't hit it all the time, but it's my metric to know whether I'm on track. Because if I hit SC10 by the 10th of the month, that means the rest of the month when my coaches are hustling to hit SC and all of that last minute and they're getting discouraged, I've already hit my 10. So then I can pour in to them. But here I was, August 10th. It was my 31st birthday and I was at Success Club 0. So instead of doing what normal people do on their birthday, I sat at my kitchen table and I sent out 210 invites until somebody in my inbox said, yeah, tell me more information. I'm ready to go. So I sat there on my birthday and did that. And I have a phrase, like if you're at 0 and you feel like nothing's working, just invite, just double down on invites because this is a numbers business. And I say the dam will break eventually. Like if you just keep pouring in, the dam's going to break eventually. So I invited my heart out. I did get in the Transform 20 test group by the hair of my chinny chin chin, and really dedicated to doing that. And my entire body changed and like toned and all the things. So in October was leadership. Emily's husband was deployed and she asked me to be her guest. You had to be 1 star to be the person's guest. And I was barely there. But after leadership, I remember, again, these events are pivotal. So leadership, new leader, summit, like is it called? Super weekend, like get to the events because they matter. And so at leadership, I was just like, you know what? I was around all the elite coaches and I was like, I can do that. When I shared this at Summit, but when I was at Summit, I sat at Ruth Strauner's table and I said, I'm going to be back here next year as elite. And I took a picture at her table. I don't think I knew at the time what I was saying, but I put it in the universe. So I want you guys to don't play small, set big goals because we serve a big God. And so I left leadership and I was like, I don't want to be here as a guest next year. I want to be here next year on my own merit. So that I left and I got to work. And so we did get back to Premier. And then so October, probably the end of October, we did a Diamond Dash. And I had 1 or 2 coaches that would pop each Diamond Dash, but we needed 5. Right. And so I just got real with them. I'm pretty sure I cried in our Facebook page and just shared the vision for us as a team. And it wasn't elite for me as an elite. It was elite to have the team name Faith Over Fear and to be able, when people have us or me or whatever on these calls and they're like, well, how did you see success? Like, yeah, I did some things, but I also get to share the faith side of it too. And so I just shared that. And I was like, we can, if any team can do this, we can do this. And so I call it the text effect. I shared the vision, and leadership did that for me. Coaches there talked about sharing the vision. And I was so scared to share what I wanted for our team because I felt like, well, they're just going to think I want this for me. And so I just shared my heart, and there were 7 of them that I felt like had potential to hit diamond. Some of them were pretty shoe-in, and some of them it was a reach. But I was like, hey, you guys are the 7 that I believe in, and I feel like we can do this together. So I put them in a text strand together. And I led from the front. So every single day I was in there checking in with my personal development. I was checking in and told them the number of invites I had. I couldn't expect them to do anything that I wasn't showing and doing myself. And so I got in there. Also, I created a little graphic. I don't know. Let me see if I have one. Here. So I created a graphic that looks kind of like this for Elite and how far we were and things like that with everybody's bubbles. And I talked about 1 away or 4 away and just told how far away everybody was. And that was really eye-opening because a lot of people are visual. And when they saw how close everybody was and that we could do it as a team, it was like this sisterhood came together. And so on November 21st, which was the last Thursday you could go into qual, we went into qualification to be a 7-star team. So if you guys are sitting here in September and you're diamond or 1-star diamond or whatever you are right now, it is still possible because this time last year, I was barely hanging on as a diamond coach, barely. And so I put them in a text strand. We went in 7 strong. It was the most stressful 6 weeks of my entire life. But it was like that text community that we had, nobody wanted to drop out. There was also a trip on the line. So we were going to go to Florida and they didn't seem like excited about that. So I'm like, where will motivate you guys? I'll take you guys wherever. And they said Disney. And I'm like, I'll buy you guys all ears. We'll go to Disney, right? And so we were dashing for Disney and we just did it together. And so we held 7 strong, and it was like at 10:59 p.m. some days people would get solid and we would like scrape by, but we ended up 7 in and 7 out, and we ended up a 7-star elite team. And so kind of where I am now, there was a lot of hand-holding last year, and I was a brand new coach, and I did a lot of things wrong, I'm sure. And so where I am now is I want to be a leader of leaders. I want to empower them because as a coach, you're your own CEO. Like, you shouldn't wait for Caroline to tell you what to do. I don't need to wait for Emily to tell me what to do. And what one person says on social media isn't going to work for another person. You've got to find your voice and share your life and your testimony and become you. So that's where I am now, is empowering them to be their own leaders. And managing other people is one of the hardest things that you'll ever do. But that's where we are now. So that's my coaching journey. And you guys feel free. I'm going to share my power hour and then hold on. I'm unstable again. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to share my daily non-negotiables. They're going to look familiar. My power hour and then some key takeaways. So my phrase here is, it takes hard work, relentless persistence, and a positive mindset. So my daily non-negotiables are, it's the vital behaviors. And for personal development, I have a star beside it because for personal development, I do 2 every day. I always do something faith-based. So I'll do verse 5 or Proverbs 31 or 100 Days to Brave. I'll get in my Bible. I'll do Jesus Calling. I always do something faith-based to set the tone of the day and just get in the right mindset, spend some quiet time with God. And then I also always do personal development that has to do with this business, because I feel like It's important to strengthen your spirit person, but in this business, it's really important to have the right mindset. So I love 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I love Build to Last by Keith Callahan. They're just things that Holy Hustle is probably, I read that book over and over. I love that book. But I always try to read something that is based in this business as well. So I think both are important. I think, I'm a huge advocate of you need both. And so that's my first thing is quiet time with God and pouring into your mind. My next one is family time, and I mean it in this order. And so for me, my husband, he hates when I say this, but he was super skeptical of this business at first. He would roll his eyes every time I was on my phone. He would make comments. When I went to Summit my first year, he said, have fun at my cult club. Like, he was just like made comments about this all the time. And so, but it wasn't that he didn't support it. It's that I didn't communicate my passion about it. And so when I sat down with him and had a conversation, it was like, look, this is a purpose and a passion for me, and I want to make this happen because of this and for our family. He was like, oh, okay. And Julie Voris has been coaching forever and ever. And I remember asking her early on, like, how do you get an unsupportive spouse supportive? And she said, point blank, money talks to men. And she said, if you want your spouse to be supportive and get on board, make some money. And so again, accountant husband. So I was like, okay, that's like Success Club is how I do that. And so I'm going to prove to him that this is going to work. I'm pretty sure. And it's funny because Emily's husband gave her 2 years. My husband said, I'll give you a year. So I guess I had no choice but to work really hard and have success within my first year because I was on a deadline. But family time, when I first started coaching as a brand new coach, I didn't, and I like cringe when I say this now because these being live on coach calls means something. So those of you that showed up tonight, there's just something powerful being on here in person. So show up for the team calls. But when I first started, I would watch the recording the next day because I had to guard that family time. I used to not do team calls at night. Now my husband and my daughter both, they tell me to go get my Beachbody butt to work. And so they're like, have team calls whenever you need to. But I had to guard and protect. I think it's important to protect your family time. My husband and I now wake up at 5 a.m. We work out together. We do personal development together. So we have a good hour and a half we spend together every morning. And then at night, after my daughter goes to bed, like from 9 to 10 p.m., that's our time too. So I think blocking out family time, communicating with your spouse, those things are really important. Your kids too. My daughter's old enough to tell me things like, you're spending more time with Beachbody than me. So I had to be really careful to guard my family time. Working out, you guys saw that I followed the program. There was no missing days, or if I did, I would double up the next day. There's no falling off the wagon if you're a coach, because if you do that, why would anybody join you? They're not going to trust you. And inviting, I invited from the day that I started coaching a minimum. So I say 250 per week because again, I'm a professor full-time as well. And so there are days like today, I'm behind the podium from 8 a.m. until I didn't leave work tonight until probably 7:30, 7:15. And so I'm behind the podium. It's back to back. I barely get a bathroom break, let alone anything else. And so there are some days that inviting didn't happen. But if you divide 250 out, divided by 5 days a week, family time's on the weekend, so I don't work on the weekends, but that's 50 invites a day. And so there were some days that I didn't get 50 in. I may get 10 or 15, but then I would make up for those invites the next day. The coach journey is just like the workout journey. You can't eat a few salads, do a few crunches and expect to get results. So inviting consistently every day, and your number doesn't have to be 250. If your number is sending 10 every day, you send your 10 every day. Consistency is key. And then social media, like I said, I did not show up on social media. I was showing up on my timeline Monday through Sunday, every single day, and in my stories as well. So, and there were days my daughter broke her arm and we were in the emergency room. And I remember one of my thoughts, which is stupid, but I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't posted today. So I got my camera and took a picture above of me holding her hand with her arm. And it was like, that's part of my life. So not every post has to be, it shouldn't be sweaty selfies and bleeding Beachbody blue. You need to be more than Beachbody, but share on social media and show up every day. something valuable and motivational and relatable, or make people laugh, but you've got to show up every single day. All right. One of the biggest questions I get is about how do you attract working coaches? And so attracting and growing your tribe. You've got to be, and I didn't do this, this was a mistake that I learned from. You've got to be realistic about what it takes and what you're looking for. Early on in coaching, I had a phrase and I said that I worked from the car rider line and in pockets of time. It was the truth. So I pick up my daughter, you have to get a good spot, you have to be there at about 2 o'clock, 2:10, and they don't even start letting the kids out of the school until 2:45. So I was sitting in the car rider line for a good 30 minutes every single day. Used to was scrolling my phone. Now I use it for coaching activities and inviting. And then any pockets of time I had, I would use it for inviting and coaching. But when I brand it like car rider line and pockets of time, that doesn't attract coaches who are ready to work and willing to sacrifice time. And so now I really do talk about the hustle. Like tonight, I'm going to shut my computer and say goodnight at 9 o'clock and show people that I just had a really long work day, but I'm pouring into this because this is a ministry and passion for me as well. So I think you've got to, and I struggled with a long time because I have a full-time job. I have no desire to quit my full-time job. It's a ministry for me as well, but I don't want my full-time job to think because I'm hustling at 9 o'clock at night that I'm trying to quit my job. I just had to get over that and just learn how to talk about coaching in a way that it was a ministry to supplement my passion in my life. So be authentically you, share your heart and your struggles, but this is really important. Make sure you share the source of your strength too. Because I see so many coaches, my own and other coaches, that talk about not wanting to work out that day or this struggle or that struggle. But then it's like, you're not smiling on your stories and your workouts, even if they're hard, like you don't look like you're having fun. And so share the struggle because people need to relate, and they're going to, just like Emily, I related to her in her struggle and her pain, but I joined her because I saw her source of strength. And so make sure you share both. Talk about the coach opportunity. I was scared to do this, and it still feels weird. I mean, I think as a Christian woman, it does feel really unnatural to talk about money and this business and the benefit that it can have. But I've just tried to do it in hopefully a tactful way. Just like I stepped on our dog's leg, bless his heart, and his surgery was $2,000. And I shared on social media that without coaching, that would have broken us a couple years ago. And so talking about the coach opportunity, things like paying for my daughter's ballet or just groceries or small things like a date night with your husband, but attach a monetary benefit to coaching as well as the community and the accountability. So you've got to talk about the coach opportunity. Be a positive and consistent light in people's lives and believe in people and coach them. Believe in people before they believe in themselves and become their coach before they've ever bought a single thing from you. I have so many people in my inbox that I tell them, and I think they're probably like, wait, what? That I tell them I'm praying for them, or I ask when somebody's like, oh no, I already have bought, or I'm already doing this. And so many coaches will be like, oh, okay, thanks. And then they would never talk to them again. I try to relate to people and like, you tell me you're having surgery on something, I'm going to reach out to you next month and ask how your recovery from that surgery is. I just think you need to relate to people and be real and care about them before you're ever their coach. All right, here's my power hour. So prioritizing and organizing your life. I don't know how there's no balance in life. You're going to be off balance. And so I think you just have to prioritize. So my power hour at the beginning, I follow 50 at the beginning and the end. I try to be careful. The Instagram algorithms and things like that these days they get scary. So you don't want to do a certain amount in more than an hour's time. So I do 50 at the beginning. I invite from my likes, I invite from my stories, and I invite from my followers. I do this unapologetically, and a lot of people will call these cold invites. I do not. These people are not cold to me. These are people that have gone to my Instagram page and they have either liked my pictures, they're watching my stories, or they have followed me. I am very clear about who I am and what I'm about. I'm a wife, I'm a professor, I'm a mom, I'm a believer, and I'm on a health journey from the inside out. If you have liked, watched, or followed, you're in my business, so I'm getting up in yours. And so I unapologetically invite from likes, stories, and brand new followers. Most of my people come from those new followers that most people are scared to invite right out of the bat. I connect through 531. 531 is liking 5 pictures, commenting on 3, and either following them or sending them your hey girl. So I think commenting and relating to people is really important, because you'll send somebody a message and then you'll follow up with somebody and they'll continue to ghost you. But then when you continue to comment on their post, and I'm not talking like, hey girl, your dog's so cute, or love that shirt. I'm talking about valuable comments that are going to mean something to their life. Like, compliment them to their core, encourage them, like, be a real person on social media. So 531, following up. So I'll go in, follow up means different things, different days. So the people who liked, watched, that I already sent a hey girl to, I'll send them a follow-up message, or I'll go in my share a cart, and the people that have gotten a share a cart but they still haven't checked out, or the people that have filled out my form and I send them stuff, and so they're like following up. Their fortune is in the follow-up. So I spend a lot of time following up, and then I follow 50 more. Also, kind of caveat, I follow and unfollow, comment, message in pockets of time throughout the day. So anytime I have just downtime on my phone, instead of scrolling and looking at everybody else's life, I'm going to get intentional and make my time on social media matter. And then also I story throughout my day. This is consistency is the ultimate key to success. I shared this in the champions page and did a power hour in there. This was before the business activity tracker was a thing. So I'm all about tracking things. This is essentially just the business activity tracker, but in a daily format. So I called this my slay the day, and I would do it Monday through Friday. My personal development and a takeaway. You don't just want to be checking boxes. So for me, I didn't want to just read my personal development. I wanted a takeaway that I was going to apply and take action to. And my invites, there's that minimum. The workout, the shakes, drinking water is a struggle for me, so I have that on there. Following, adding 10 friends, checking into my challenge group, coaching activities. And by coaching activities, I'll go to the business alerts in the back office, shout out people that have signed coaches this week, do kind of a success club, check in at least twice a month where people are, leaderboards, that kind of thing. Social media, timeline pictures, 1 to 3 posts, not all Beachbody related. And then stories of me. I'm still bad about boomerang or just still pictures, and people need to hear you talking on stories, because I think our timelines, they can be all like curated, and the stories are where people are going to see your heart and get to know you as a person. So they're in some way, shape, or form. And then finally, here are some of my sayings. So if you feel like, here we are, we've got 1 week left in the month, and if you're not at Success Club, or you feel like you're in a season of being stuck, struggling, or having no luck, first thing, if you say it, you feel it. So speak life over yourself and over your business. So speak positivity over that. Instead of stating the problem, seek the solution. When I was in college, I actually did football recruiting and worked for Nick Saban, Roll Tide. But he was one, like, you did not come to him with a problem, or if you did, you better have a proposed solution behind it. And so that's just kind of my mantra is, how about we don't talk about problems? How about we talk about what we could possibly do, or go find a solution? I'm all about Googling it and going for it. So we're not doing anything new. We haven't reinvented any type of wheel. If you're like, I can't get followers, or I don't know how to do this, or everybody who's following me is another Beachbody coach, like, Google how to expand your Instagram following. There are videos out there. So Google it and go for it. Be your own CEO. Find what works for you. Don't try to copy other coaches. You can emulate and you can respect other coaches, but don't copy what other people do. Find you, share your testimony, and when in doubt, write it on a note card and give it to God. And so my sayings to live by: fear is not welcome here. Work for it as bad as you say you want it. I actually have a system that's like, you say you want to be diamond, this is the number of invites, this is the number of Success Club. If you want to be diamond, this is the work that goes into diamond. If you're telling me you want to be star diamond or elite, this is what kind of work the average. I'm all about research as a professor. So I've researched from top coaches, like, this is the work that goes into people who are that level. So don't say you want to be something and then it's like, what is it? don't say you want to like the Nordstrom clothes and be on a Walmart budget. Like you got to put in the work for whatever you say you want. And then nothing is a failure as long as you keep going. We don't plant a tree and water it and have it in the sunlight, and because it takes a long time to grow, go talk to the tree and tell the tree that it's a failure because it's taking so long. So why do we do that to ourselves? And so as long as you're continuing to do the things and you're not giving up and you're sharing your journey and you're staying true to you and you're staying true to your faith and all of that, you're not a failure as long as you keep going. So in summary, my takeaways: share, don't sell, be consistent, get results, face fear, have fun, fail fast, and figure it out.
Heather, that was so incredible. I have literally like, I don't even know if you can see here, but 2 long pages of notes. You are just so inspiring. And I'm sure every girl on our team is like, how did she do it? But you broke it all down. And it's just so cool to see your consistency and your commitment to this. So if you're cool with it, I would love to see if anybody has questions or anything you want to ask Heather. Now's your time. Use this as a cool opportunity to get to ask whatever you want. Come on, guys. Don't be shy. Oh, someone said, can you go over the 5-3-1 system again?
Yes. And I will say too, after our team went elite, I still work full time. I'm also the editor of the college's newsletter, mom, my daughter's in choir, ballet, like, we're all busy. And I hate the word busy, to be honest. And I think sometimes we can wear busy as a badge of honor. So, but I will say that after a full year of putting in the work, my husband and I sat down and he was like, for you to continue working full time, because there are some great benefits that come to that. Again, it's also a ministry. What can we take off of your plate and delegate? And he told me early, he said, once I talked to him about this and wanting to do this business, he said, well, if you treat this like a hobby, it's going to pay you like a hobby. And if you treat this like a business, it's going to pay you like a business. And I was like, kind of offended at first because I was like, who are you? And then I was like, oh, he's right. And so those words taste like vinegar coming out of my mouth. But after that year, we sat down and he's like, okay, what are the things that you could delegate or take off of your plate? And so I invested in 21 Social. So I utilized that to continue to grow my Instagram following. And I have an assistant that helps me as well. I do all the conversations. I run all my challenge groups, but she helps me with follow-ups and things like that. And so, but 5-3-1 is liking 5 of their pictures. If you have 21 Social, you can't do 5 or 1 because you got to be careful. You can't like a bunch of stuff. You can't follow a bunch of people. So I just do 3. I just do the comment, but it's liking 5 of their pictures and then commenting valuable comments. So at least 5 words, commenting on 3 of their photos. And then the 1 is either following them if you're not already, or sending them the hey girl if you haven't already. I usually reserve 5-3-1 because they take a lot of time for my coach prospects, for people that I feel like would make great coaches. 5-3-1 is something I have to give all the credit to Amy Bailey now. It was Rada at the time. But she said that when she was first coaching, when she went diamond, she would 5-3-1 50 people a day, or she would 5-3 50 people a day, and then follow up with them, do the 1 the next day. And so, and then she the next day would 5-3-1 50 or 5-3 50 new people, and then follow up with that batch. So she was doing like 100 a day of the 5-3-1 method. Again, I don't do that many. I probably do 10 to 20 a day and reserve those for coach prospects. And it's insane because what that means is when they go to their little heart notifications on Instagram, they've got 8 notifications from you. And most likely they're going to, who is this girl? And they're going to go to your profile. Now your profile has to back up what you're saying in your hey girl message, right? Because if it doesn't, they're just going to think you're crazy because they got 8 notifications. But if you back it up, they're probably going to join you. Let's see. Can you give an example how you invite to people from your followers list or story watchers? Yeah. And hopefully you guys see, I am like, there are no secrets in this business. And I've had a lot, you know, other coaches that share all of the things. I appreciate, I love this community and how supportive we all are. Like, we're not on the same team, but I feel like we're all for each other. And so my hey girl to people who are following, watching, liking, and I have a formula for this. I can kind of break it down. Don't use mine because it's not going to work for you, because this is in my voice and about me. I've had people try to use this exact one and it doesn't work for them. So you need to, so formula is a greeting. If you're a note taker, a greeting, thank them for following you and supporting your journey, whatever your journey is about. So thank you, or hello, and so greeting, thank you, short and sweet invite, short and sweet challenge group explanation, and then you or anyone else, and then finally compliment them. So I'm going to read mine now. It says, hey girl, thank you for following along on my faith and fitness journey. I wanted to see, and I put in parentheses if you're not already, because I get so many people who are already doing Beachbody that follow, you know, other coaches and people will follow you. So I say, if you're not already, if you'd be into joining one of my challenge groups to grow in confidence and faith and get healthy from the inside out. We'll focus on nutrition, motivation, accountability, working out, and in parentheses I say workouts optional, and support. Let me know if you or anyone you know would be into it. That's key, and I'll talk about why. I'd love to have your, and then compliment them, your positivity or your energy or your, just whatever they seem to be about on Instagram. So compliment them. That sentence about let me know if you or anyone you know would be into it is so key, because so many people, they'll join you, but they don't realize, like, well, I could invite my sister and my best friend, and how fun would it be to do it together? I had one girl go Ruby, her, like the elusive Ruby rank, her first day, because she invited her mom, her sister-in-law, the secretary where she works, and she had gotten the discount, and people trusted her. They said, well, just sign me up with whatever you got. So she was like signing up all these coaches, and I'm like, what? And she was like, well, I just sent them what you sent me. And so that part's really important. I know how people that say, like, no, I'm into this, but if I know of anyone, I'll let you know. And I do get referrals that way. So that hey girl formula to me has been tried and true. The shorter, the sweeter. And also, I teach business communication at the University of Alabama. And so it's also, word choice is really important. And don't end every sentence with an exclamation point. I think a lot of people do that. And when you do, it looks really salesy. So make sure like every other sentence is an exclamation point. But just little things matter. But yeah, that is my hey girl, or all of my invites on Instagram. I actually, so when I built to 2-star, it was 100% on Facebook. I used to call myself the Instagramma because I had probably less than 200 followers. I would batch upload pictures to Instagram, and the only reason I did it, and they were all of my daughter, because I had all intentions of doing those chat books for my daughter. And so I didn't even use Instagram. Like, the followers I had from Instagram were like people from high school and a few college people. I had no following and didn't use Instagram at all. So I was primarily all on Facebook. Now I do probably 95% of my business on Instagram, and I'm no longer the Instagram moth. So I learned fast, I guess. But most of my invites, yes, are on Instagram. I do share on my Facebook page, probably not as much. I don't share everything to Facebook. I think the Instagram community is a lot more forgiving than Facebook. I got some like catty Kathy's. No, if anybody's name's Kathy, I got some like catty people from Facebook. I got messages from people from church that told me I wasn't a Christian because I was posting pictures in sports bras. And there was a season there that it was really hard, that I felt like people didn't understand that faith and fitness could go hand in hand. And so that was definitely a season to get over. So I probably do less on Facebook than I do Instagram, but I still show up there. Yeah. Do I re-invite people that ghost me? I invite people until they tell me to stop inviting them. And I don't know that I've had anybody just say like, please take me off your list. Like I invite until they either say stop or they join me. Most of the time I have people, here it is 2 years later, and I have people thanking me for never giving up on them. And so I just continue to I'll send them if you don't use text replacements, they are gold. And so I use text replacements with my Hey Girl, and then I have it's IGFU, it's Instagram follow up. And so I follow up probably the next day or the next. And then after that, I may follow up a week or so later, right before my challenge group deadline. And then I'll just follow up monthly after that, all 531. So if they're continuing to ghost me, but I'm like, hey girl, I can see you watching my stories and thanks for your support. Like, don't be afraid to call people out. Like, hey, I see that you're watching my stories and I love that you're liking my post. If you're still interested in joining me, or I'd love for you to join me, but if not, I just want to let you know that the support means a lot because it's not easy to put yourself out there. Like, just be a real human being, but never stop following up with people, because here's what happens. I learned this early on. If you stop following up with people, they're going to join Becky down the street that did follow up with them. And you're going to be like, but you've liked my stuff for the last year. Why'd you go with Becky? And she's like, well, Becky followed up. So you don't want to lose your people to Becky. And let's see. Tips on how to track conversations and invites. Y'all, I'm the most old-fashioned and disorganized person of America, but this is my tracking method. So this is the Ashley Felddyson method. So I literally take a sheet of paper, fold it in half, and write 1 through 80 or whatever I'm going to send that day, and I send invites from that. And then if they start to respond, I'll carry this around in my purse or whatever, but I'm not very good at this. So if they respond, I may be like a star because they're like, yeah, tell me more or whatever. I have all intentions of starting to use Google Streak, but I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm a pen and paper girl, and I also do the same thing with my day. So I write my day from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. every hour in 30-minute increments, and then I write everything that I do and build the vital behaviors in pockets of time. So I'm probably a psychopath, but I use paper, and that's how I keep track of everything. What kind of videos do I put on Instagram and stories to keep people interested? I just share my life. And I remember early on in coaching thinking, like, I am so boring. I do the same thing every day. I eat the same stuff every day. No one is going to care. And I remember Bonnie Engel talked about her family as characters. And she characterized her husband and her daughter and herself. And I was like, you know what? I can do the same thing. Like, my husband hates being on social media. He's the accountant. He has an extreme country accent. My daughter, she's super creative, and like, people love her. My dog, like, people know my dog. Like, it's weird. And I'm like, these people watch my life. But once you start putting your life out there just in a genuine way, people start to just follow your whole life. And then, I recommend stuff other than Beachbody. Like, I use mascara, or I find a devotional that I love, and I'm going to share that. And then next time when I share my boot camp, people are going to be like, hey, that devotional she shared started to change my life, so maybe her boot camp can start to change my life. So I just kind of share my whole day and show people, it bleeds belief into people that they can, like, I'm a normal person and they can do it too. Roll Tide. And then I guess last one, when you first started on your first couple of months coaching, were you just inviting your Facebook friends? I'm worried about being considered unauthentic and just another MLM sales girl, and I don't want to run off my friends and family blowing up their inbox. That's up to you. And so if you don't want to be another MLM sales girl, don't. Share your heart. And for me, I literally went down, I downloaded my Facebook friends list A to Z, and I went down it A to Z, and every female on my Facebook friends list got an invitation from me, because I felt like I was holding this gift and it would be selfish and I would be doing a disservice to the females in my life if I did not invite them on this journey. And Ashley tells a story, like, she loves Taylor Swift. And when Taylor Swift came to her town, she very quickly called her best friend and said, oh my gosh, let's go to Taylor Swift. And she didn't think, oh, well, I'm being salesy and maybe my friend doesn't have the money, or maybe she doesn't have the time. She just shared her passion with Taylor Swift with her best friend because she wanted her to be on that concert journey with her. And so I look at this like that. Like, I have found something that gave me light and has given me back my health in my life. How dare me hold that from the women in my life? So I fearlessly and unapologetically without, and I've been accused, y'all. I mean, I've had friends that are like, hey, I mean, I heard some other women talking, and this was early on. They don't. The more success you have, they'll shut up real quick. And so, but early on, I mean, it was rumor that I was just adding friends on Facebook to sell them Beachbody. And it's like, no, I'm adding friends on Facebook because I feel like you're a woman that I can relate to and do life with. But if that's what you think about me, then that's your loss, right? And so I just had this fearless, unapologetic attitude about inviting women in my life. And I just have to tell myself that if somebody doesn't see me for my heart and what I'm sharing and what I'm trying to do and the purpose behind all of this, then they're just not my people. And sometimes those people come back. So.
So good, Heather. And I think all of us are shaking our heads yes, because we can all relate to something that you just shared, especially at the end there. Well, thank you so much again, Heather, for being on tonight, for taking the time out of your busy, crazy day. I mean, you've got a lot going on. So just to take the time to pour into us, we are so thankful. And I just want to pray over you and your ministry and what God's doing in your family. So if that's cool with you, I'd love to just end with praying over you.
Love that.
Okay, let's pray, girls. Heavenly Father, God, I just thank you so much for these incredible women. I thank you for just their commitment to you of showing up and giving their best and serving others, Lord, just to give you the glory and be a light in someone's life. God, I thank you so much for Heather and just her taking the time tonight to pour into us, God, and just share her resources and what she's done with us. God, she doesn't have to do that, but we just thank you that she's willing to, Lord, and we know that all of the success and the things that she's seen has been just your hand in and over her, God. And I just praise you that she is being used by you in so many women's lives, Lord. God, I just pray over her sweet family, God, and all the good things that you're doing in her life personally as well, God, and the sweet baby that you're growing inside of her, God. Lord, I just pray just continued blessings over her family, health, and protection. And God, that you would just be with this sweet new season that's coming, God. I pray that you would prepare her heart and her family's heart and just blessings over them, God. I pray for her team, Lord, that they would just continue to shine bright in the Beachbody network, God. Lord, it's no secret that Heather's on a team that maybe doesn't always all know you, Lord, but the fact that she gets to be such a light, Lord, to her uplines and just pointing them back to you, God, and giving you the glory, God. It's just so cool to see her just be transparent and bold, Lord, on stage at Summit and giving you the glory, God, because that's why we're here and that's what we were made for. And yes, Beachbody's great, but God, ultimately we want to shine bright for you. And so, God, I just thank you for her willingness and boldness to do that. I pray for courage as she continues to do that, even when it's hard, even when people don't get it, even when people might even make fun of her, God. Just, Lord, continue to strengthen her heart, God. Lord, I pray that you would just be with her team, help them to finish the year strong, God. And I just thank you again for all of these incredible women. I pray that you would multiply our efforts and multiply our results this week, God, that we would be committed to serving other people with no strings attached, but God, that you would bless our time and bless the energy that we're putting into it, God. Lord, help us to have fresh eyes to see the people that you've brought along that we could pour into and serve and love. And God, I just thank you so much for the gift of getting to do this with so many incredible women. It's in your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you, girls, so much for being on tonight. Heather, thank you again. I will post the recording and send it to all of y'all. But I hope that you have an incredible week. Reach out if you need anything. And again, thank you, Heather.
Thanks, Heather.